Let us open our souls to the sacred harmony that transcends time and touches the very essence of our being. Listen closely, destined soul, for what I'm about to unveil will shatter every misconception those low-energy leeches held about bending your destiny. Right now, your foes have summoned secret councils, scrambling to find a way to dam the surging tides that are relentlessly carrying you forward. Here's the beauty: they're utterly powerless. Meanwhile, the cosmos has been composing an epic symphony destined to herald their complete undoing. Yet they've been humming a childish melody. The punchline is etched across the firmament. Future generations of schemers will point back to this moment as the seismic pivot, a thunderclap awakening the dark currents that have long strived to ensnare you in their flimsy marionette show. The moment a fated catalyst refuses to abide by the shackles designed to keep them powerless. Those who presumed they'd kept you in endless loops for their gain will soon learn the price of underestimating you. As you began to summon fresh avenues out of nowhere and pull in prospects beyond their narrow script, the balance irrevocably tipped. They'd mistaken their own self-imposed boundaries for inescapable truths, but your belief in what was written off as impossible turned their carefully pitched fortress into a collapsing house of cards. In their rigid domain, scarcity was gospel, until you arrived and shattered that illusion. What you're seeing isn't a random panic. These people are now banding together against you, even though they have never agreed on anything. Normally incompatible people are increasingly exchanging information and planning tactics. People who were previously uninterested in your personal life are now inquiring about your intentions and whereabouts. People who used to be unconcerned with their own affairs are now interested in closely observing your activities. When people who are incompatible with one another band together to disturb one another's tranquility, that individual is not only living rent-free in their minds, but they are also the landlord of a whole empire of mental real estate. But here's what they failed to account for when they chose to oppose your greatness. Every attempt they make to stifle your advancement just serves to highlight how much they depend on you remaining tiny for their own security. Your energy has become so magnetic that every effort to break it simply serves to reinforce it. Each concerted assault just serves to highlight the fact that you have become so strong that it takes a team to try to extinguish even a small portion of your light. The one who, after months of being too busy, wants to get back in touch. They sense the change in your energy field and are afraid of falling behind, so they're listening for clues about what you will do next. However, the twist that makes this whole situation even more rewarding is that they truly enjoyed it when your life was a complete mess. When you were crying over your troubles, when you were unable to make decisions, and when you were caught in a never-ending cycle of uncertainty and self-doubt. The energy they were consuming was like spiritual vampires at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Consider this. How recently have they genuinely applauded one of your victories? At what point did they help you reduce your goals to something more achievable rather than encouraging you to dream bigger? Yellow heart if you feel the divine love. Now is the time to share. Click the super thank you button on YouTube to contribute $50 or more and help us spread God's blessings. What you do is being watched and serves as a seed, and in the future it will come back to you a millionfold. They were addicted to acting as the voice of reason that restrained your ambitions, the pragmatic counselor who helped you steer clear of disappointment by completely avoiding hazardous situations. Your ambiguity served as their currency, and your bewilderment as a means of control. Additionally, they are going through withdrawal symptoms that cause them to act more transparent and desperate now that you are functioning from clarity. Your seemingly encouraging people are now showing their genuine interest in keeping you stranded. By refusing to accept mediocrity as the limit, they are expressing their own anxieties about what could be achievable. Digging farther, however, will reveal something that will make your stomach turn. Some people have been intentionally trying to thwart your advancement for years, passing off their meddling as love and protection. Whenever you shared a dream, they managed to sow doubtful seeds that eventually blossomed into full-fledged anxiety forests in your brain. They created problems every time you got going that demanded your immediate focus and emotional investment. They learned how to be encouraging enough to keep you in their comfort zone, yet discouraging enough to guarantee access. The authorities who are hesitating because your readiness jeopardizes all they have built their expertise on are the ones who constantly coming up with fresh excuses for why you aren't quite ready for the next level. You're going to be shocked to learn, however, that they have been purposefully keeping you reliant on their advice by solving your problems in ways that led to new ones, providing assistance that always seemed to leave you in need of more assistance, and answering your questions in ways that caused more confusion. This isn't a lack of ability. The purpose of this calculated deception is to turn someone who should have been traveling alone months or even years ago into a frequent customer. They have been doing a highly skilled psychological manipulation that led you to feel that you must their approval to make life decisions, their validation to believe in your own abilities, and their permission to trust your own intuition. The person they educated to distrust is about to discover that the guidance system they have been using to validate their internal knowings is actually more accurate than the opinions of all their experts put together. As soon as you begin working in complete silence, observe how they fumble, moving through their surveillance attempts like a ghost. The individual who used to divulge every little aspect of their path has turned into an encrypted vault, and their desperate attempt to break your code is forcing them to embarrassingly expose their true motivations. If you plant a $60 seed of love, every branch that rises from that seed carries hope to someone else, because they are so accustomed to hearing your inner monologue. Your sudden privacy feels like a personal jab at their capacity to anticipate your next move. At this point, it becomes truly stunning. You're 3 steps ahead of them, putting strategies into action they can't even imagine, while they're squandering energy attempting to figure out what you're planning. You're receiving the opportunities they said would never materialize. They are reaching out to collaborate, despite their insistence that it was difficult to build contacts. Even before you've made your building's formal announcement, the degree of success that persuaded you to reduce it down to something manageable is being surpassed. Seeing you turn their hostility into motivation for your own growth is the most devastating blow to their psychological architecture. The more hate they throw at you, the brighter your light becomes. Your energy reserves are truly infinite, as every effort to deplete them demonstrates. Every concerted attempt to isolate you just serves to highlight the sheer number of real allies who are attracted to your true influence. By chance, they've turned into the resistance training that's helping you develop your spiritual muscles to a level you never thought was possible. Their manipulation techniques are so flawless now that they reflect off of you like water off a windshield. You hardly notice the guilt trips that used to drive you into a downward spiral now. Spam emails take longer to process and discard than emotional blackmail that made you doubt your own reality. You can now see the problem clearly thanks to the gaslighting techniques that once caused you to question your perceptions. They didn't anticipate anything even more significant, though. You've entered what can only be called a period of divine detox, in which everything that was depleting your life energy is being methodically eliminated from your reality. Cosmic intervention is coordinating a comprehensive environmental makeover on your behalf. This is not a coincidence. Every aspect that was intended to keep you functioning below your natural frequency is being removed as the cosmos actually renovates your reality. What's the most lovely aspect? You are not acting reactively or out of rage when you make these adjustments. After years of living according to someone else's perception of who you ought to be, you're moving with a serene, focused understanding that feels like returning home. Those who profited from your previous surroundings are in a panic because they can see the writing on the wall. If you're prepared to leave circumstances that no longer serve you, what's stopping you from doing so? When you have the courage to rearrange your life around what truly feels good, how long before you rearrange your social circle to include individuals who genuinely care about your well-being? Their newfound interest in your decision-making process is due to this, as they are giving you unsolicited advice about why you should be content with what you have rather than aiming for what you want. why stability is more essential than happiness, and why you shouldn't rush changes. Their care for your welfare is non-existent. They fear losing access to your resources, energy, and attention, as well as your readiness to put their comfort ahead of your personal development. That person who used to be there for everyone's emergency has mastered the art of telling the difference between real crises and fake drama that keeps you disorganized and agitated. The chosen one, who previously sacrificed everything to save others from their own troubles, now handles turmoil with clarity, manipulation with limits that feel like silk wrapped around steel, and panic with patience. Dove brother and sister, everything done in faith is returned in God's abundance. You can donate $100 using the Super Thank You button and be part of this divine call. If your roots are connected to Him, your fruit will be blessed. The cosmic shift, however, takes a path that no one, not even you, anticipated. As you distance yourself from those who regarded your energy like a pass to all places, you're also drawing in relationships that function on very other tenets. People who specialize in providing exactly that will no longer be drawn to you if you cease spreading the message of someone who accepts less than they deserve. You attract people who respect and acknowledge your value without needing to be persuaded when you begin to radiate the energy of someone who is aware of it. The fact that you handle their insults with such elegance is what's truly making them go crazy. As they continue to launch missiles, they expect you to reply with the same frantic energy you formerly displayed, but instead you respond with a composed, concentrated power that, in contrast, makes their dramatics appear desperate and insane. The contrast created by your capacity to stay calm during their complete meltdowns exposes their true selves to everyone in the vicinity. The cosmos is clearly working in your favor, so much so that even your adversaries are chatting among themselves about how untouchable you have become. Projects that you discussed briefly come to fruition at breakneck speed. Suddenly, people who appeared totally out of your league reach out to you. Through routes that get past every gatekeeper who attempted to obstruct your way, resources that you previously believed would take years to obtain come to you. They are coordinating their mobilizations so frantically because they believe you are going to reach a point of manifestation power where their meddling will be moot. You won't consider their opinions while making decisions after you've fully entered this following stage of your development. They won't need their approval any more than you need to ask strangers for permission before changing your clothes. The individual who once looked to those who had a covert interest in keeping them perplexed for approval has changed into someone who gets affirmation from such deep inside sources that outside voices seem like radio interference from another world. The dynamic that they use to have the ability to make you doubt yourself has abruptly changed, posing a threat to everything they have established their connection with you on. It is they who are now doubting all they believed to be true about what is feasible. Every accomplishment of a goal they thought was unattainable proves their advice was intended to keep you in their comfort zone. Any boundaries you set that they feel are overly strict end up becoming standards they wish they had the guts to uphold in their own life. It turns into a mirror reflecting their own unrealized potential with uncomfortably clear clarity in every dream you achieve that they assisted you in abandoning. When they understand that your change is about more than simply your own achievement, it's about being a living example of how their entire worldview was built on limits they mistakenly believed to be universal principles. That's when their system is truly shocked. The chosen individual who initially internalized their ideas about what was feasible has now proven that such ideas were only inherited programming meant to maintain amazing people functioning at ordinary levels. The interesting part of the spiritual conflict is that they are now fighting not just for your personal achievement, but also for the chance that others may see how you have changed and begin to doubt their own recognized limitations. Your development is a break in the mediocre matrix that maintains the predictable operation of entire social systems. One individual breaking free and beginning to create realities that were thought to be impossible undermines the entire system of restricting beliefs that keep everyone else in their place. In fact, The pressure cooker effect they generate by using so much energy to draw you back into their version of reality speeds up your ascent beyond what would have occurred normally. You are now being propelled into realms of possibility others are unable to even imagine, much less reach, by their opposition. You have already surpassed the gravitational pull of their narrow-minded solar system, as evidenced by every attempt to keep you rooted in their constraints. It becomes impossible to deny divine orchestration at this point, because you begin to notice synchronicities occurring so regularly. The cosmos works so clearly in your favor that even your cynical thinking must acknowledge that something amazing is taking place. The ease with which this cosmic elaboration is coming to pass is its most exquisite feature. As they see this change, your former manipulators are going crazy because they are unable to grasp how to stop a process that has been planned by forces outside of their control. They've dealt with people who were driven by fear, scarcity, and a need for approval from others. However, the person you have become is driven by faith, abundance, and a profound inside understanding that renders their outside viewpoints inconspicuous, like background music from a radio station you no longer listen to. This cosmic joke will provide the ultimate blow to their conceit. The more they try to make you feel inferior, the more the universe reacts by improving your situation. Their attempts to distance themselves from you simply serve to increase your appeal to uncontrollable possibilities. Anybody who pays attention can see how toxic they are, and their attempts to turn others against you show who your true allies are. Your contribution of $35 starts a movement that is not only material but also spiritual. When you sow, God begins to water. Instead of taking their doubts and turning them into their own operational handbook, the Chosen One now analyzes their comments, takes what is helpful, and throws away the rest without question. In addition to deflecting negativity, this version of you turns their insults into fuel to reach heights they claimed were unattainable. Every restriction they assisted you in accepting is being methodically destroyed by a version of you that they were unable to anticipate and never met. They have already started the career changes they believed were unrealistic. You are no longer able to compromise on the relationship standards they persuaded you to lower. You're surpassing the financial targets they assisted you in reducing before you've finished your new programs. Here's where this metamorphosis reaches cosmic comedy levels that would be unthinkable if it weren't taking place in front of everyone. The same people who spent years telling you that you weren't prepared for greater opportunities are now frantically attempting to link themselves to your success. Those who disapproved of every dream you ever expressed are now praising your abilities and subtly acknowledging your achievements. Now, people who used to constantly find reasons why your ideas wouldn't work are asking you if you need assistance with your projects. Your breakthrough is now being partially attributed to authority figures who kept you in preparation mode. They were attempting to shield themselves from the awkwardness of relating to someone who rejects limitations as universal truths, not to shield you from disappointment. Their desperate attempt to stay relevant in your success story exposes the true nature of their prior meddling. Once believing that their aspirations needed to be validated by these people's approval, the Chosen One now finds themselves witnessing these same people grovel for recognition of accomplishments they consciously work to avoid. The irony is so strong that it might be sliced with a knife and served at the celebratory meal to which they hope to be invited. Not only does this reversal of power relations alter your experience, but it also changes the social ecology in which you live. Those who have accepted comparable constraints from comparable sources are observing your metamorphosis and wondering why they continue to live in cages with unlocked doors. Your liberation becomes a catalyst for awakenings they never anticipated. The person who seemed to be cursed with bad luck is suddenly manifesting miracles. The person who thought they were not intelligent enough finds they are brilliant. And the person who thought they were unattractive realizes they have always been radiant. People who have carried restricting ideas, like identity cards, without realizing they could just put them down and walk away, are given permission to challenge them thanks to your breakthrough. This explains why your former controllers are organizing with such frantic coordination. They are not only losing control over you, but they are also witnessing the disintegration of their entire system of influence as more people realize that they may not have to accept other people's opinions about their potential as the last word on what is possible in their lives. What can only be called a freedom epidemic is created by the collective awakening taking place in your orbit. Individuals who have been living confined lives suddenly rub their eyes and question, what else would be possible if I stopped asking permission from those who profit from my playing small? You become a mirror that reflects everyone's unrealized potential so clearly that it is impossible to pretend they are blind to it. Their worst nightmare comes true when they observe you functioning from such a cohesive wholeness that their disjointed methods of living appear archaic in contrast. Now, the individual they believed they understood interprets events so clearly that their interpretation is like someone explaining colors to an artist. Their greatest aspirations now seem like practice runs thanks to the chosen one who once needed their approval to dream big and is now bringing their dreams to life. Glowing star, if you want to witness God's miracles, act now. Contribute $100 or more through Super Thank You on YouTube. Your offering is like a seed that comes back to you when planted. Let His light illuminate your steps. Every donation is an echo in His plan. Justice no longer exists as an abstract idea at this point. Rather, it is a lived experience because you have progressed past the point at which their meddling might affect you, not because you want retribution. It's ended because you realized you were never really playing their game in the first place, not because you destroyed them. There was always something far greater in store for you than their limited definition of success. The last realization that your success was never reliant on their acceptance is like a cosmic slap. In reality, your own power manifested itself beyond their restrictions, enabling every accomplishment they claimed to facilitate. They were good at persuading you to use their permission systems to channel your magic, but you were always the one who created it. It seems almost comically futile for them to try to dim your light now that you are standing in the full glory of your restored authority. What used to feel like overpowering opposition now acts as a reminder that you're on the right track. Their resistance is now the very thing pushing you beyond the edge of your comfort zone. The most significant change, however, is not only how you respond to their attacks, rather, it is how you have discovered a way to turn conflict into inspiration for your next stage of manifestation. When people throw negativity at you, you do more than simply block it off. You use it as fuel to create something they could never have imagined. Their dread of your potential turns into evidence that you're already functioning at frequencies that threaten their entire worldview. Their hatred turns into your fuel, and their doubt turns into your resolve. During this voyage, the selected one may acquire the most potent skill of all, the alchemical capacity to transform poison into medicine, barriers into opportunities, opposition into acceleration. Having once internalized toxicity, the individual now filters negativity through such advanced spiritual filters that it emerges as pure creative energy on the other side. The universe reacts to this metamorphosis by arranging events that would seem unthinkable if you weren't experiencing them yourself. The business opportunity that presents itself at the perfect moment, the romantic relationship that emerges just as you really learn to love yourself, the creative endeavor that passes through you so effortlessly that it hardly feels like work, and the financial abundance that comes in through a variety of channels you weren't even aware existed. It isn't luck. This is the result of a person being so fully in line with their true purpose that reality shifts to accommodate their best expression. The chosen one who once fought against the flow of their destiny is now gliding with such elegance and fluidity that barriers vanish before they even completely emerge. Your erstwhile oppressors are rendered speechless by the cognitive dissonance they feel when they observe this quantum shift. The person they believed they understood has changed into someone who uses skills they didn't know were conceivable and behaves in accordance with morals they don't comprehend. They're not only seeing you succeed, they're watching you redefine success and its definition when it's not constrained by the constraints of others. The most delightful aspect of this cosmic justice is witnessing how their attempts to undermine your value only serve to affirm it. The fact that you are traveling in divine harmony is confirmed by every tactic used to cause you to question your course. You're already functioning at a level that threatens their entire worldview, as evidenced by every concerted effort to convince you that you're not ready. This last turn of events completes the circle of this transformation story. The individual who formerly required permission to shine now permits others to find their own light. Others are now able to escape such prisons by using the chosen individual who was imprisoned in a limitation matrix. For those who were unaware that they were imprisoned, your freedom turns into a master key that opens doors. Your support of $70 revitalizes souls like the season that brings forth buds from dry branches. Doing cartwheels, victory dances, and backflips as your adversaries watch in fear, as everything they attempted to stop happens with such clear divine support that even they are unable to dispute what they are seeing, is what justice is all about. The chosen one, who formerly worried being judged, now possesses such genuine authority that others want to win your favor. The match that they believed they were winning was actually a warm-up for the final match. You were destined to rule, and their humiliation is total, not because you won, but because you went beyond the whole battlefield they believed you were stuck on indefinitely. As they planned your demise, you reached heights where their views are as pointless as weather forecasts from worlds you would never see. Your life's favor has become so strong that even your adversaries are beginning to secretly respect the exact traits they have worked so hard to undermine.